everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from the garden of the Grow Together homestead and from my new potting bench in particular. Angus built this for me. What a little inventor, this kid. He also built me this great tool, which I will talk about in a future video. But today I'm talking to you about strawberries because strawberries are one of those things that pretty much almost every human enjoys, and most animals as well. They're actually a perennial crop when grown properly, so it's one of those things that seems like a bit of a no-brainer to have in your garden. And I did believe it was a no-brainer because I grew up in Delta, BC. There was a strawberry farm just down the street from us. It just seemed like there was this never-ending bounty of strawberries and that it was so easy to grow. If you live in a Zone 3 Alberta or other Zone 3 areas, you may find it's a little more difficult. There aren't anywhere near as many strawberries that will grow here as will grow in warmer climates. And that's due to the nature of how the strawberry grows. So there's a bit of confusion about what is Everbearing, what is June-bearing, what is day neutral. Okay, so I want to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about why I like to grow specific types of berries here on our little Zone 3 homestead. Okay, so first of all, the three different main kinds of strawberries. There's June-bearing. Okay, now June-bearing, they and actually in Alberta here we should probably call it July-bearing, because the odds of you getting a good crop from your June-bearing berries, say that 4 times in a row, is pretty low unless you have an unseasonably warm year. They produce one great big flush of berries, okay, at the beginning of the season. So that is what most commercial growers here in Alberta grow, or in a lot of Zone 3 areas. They grow those June berries because they want a great big yield and they want to get that one thing done quickly, and that is what June-bearing berries. So a lot of the U-picks will be June-bearing because it's a great big yield, one big flush, and then you're done for the year pretty much, okay? They don't produce, if you've planted a June-bearing seed in spring, you won't see berries that year, okay? Because they actually don't produce, they produce their buds in the fall. And that's also when they send out the most runners, is in the fall. All right, so if you're looking for something that you're going to plant from seed and you want to see berries that year, don't go with a June-bearing berry, okay? And also, personally, I prefer 2 other types, the Everbearing and the Day Neutral, because I kind of like to have strawberries for more than just one quick flush of lots of berries. I like to be out there and have them as a little treat while I'm working in the garden. I am right now working almost exclusively with Everbearing, and that is a very that name, they shouldn't be called Everbearing, because what they should be called is twice-bearing, okay? Everbearing strawberries, like this variety here of Fort Laramie, hello sweetheart, they produce a little bit earlier actually than the June-bearing, and again about a month later they'll start producing, okay? So I like these because I like to pick at them when they first come out, and then I notice they have a second flush later, usually around August, and I enjoy them. They're hardy. I've found that I prefer this one breed here, variety here called Fort Laramie. I've had a lot of success with it, so I like these ones, okay? I am trying this year, I want to branch out a bit, and I want to grow day neutral ones. Now day neutral should really be called Everbearing because they just keep going all season long, okay? So and the reason why is because their growth is not affected by the length of the day. That's why they get the name day neutral, okay? But whereas the June-bearing, they start to produce buds in the fall when the days shorten, and the Everbearing, they produce buds twice, okay? Once at the beginning of the year, whereas day neutral keep producing. So those are the ones that you often see in hanging baskets and stuff, because they also will produce runners from well, berries from runners that aren't even rooted, which is pretty amazing actually. And I'm trying to find some, but there's very few varieties that will actually are hardy enough to last our really cold winters here. So that moves on to the next subject. How do I help my berries survive? Well, I have purchased some here. I'm about to rebuild a garden bed over here that I've had for 8 years. It's time to take it down and start over. So I'm going to put some more strawberries out because you can never have enough of them. So I'm starting with some fresh new root berries. If you are successful growing berries from seed, my hat off to you, because I've tried multiple times, even in my lovely little milk jugs. I'm trying again this year too. I never say no, but I would suggest if you're a new berry grower, get these bare rootstock. I purchased these from my local greenhouse supply store, garden center, and it's a pretty good deal, right? Because basically what I get with this is 10 nice roots ready to go, and they usually run, I've seen them in garden centers from everywhere from $8 to $10, so they're about $1 a plant or less. All right, so that is much better than buying a 6-pack or trying to grow them from seed, because the odds are you're not going to get berries for very few varieties that you grow from seed that year anyways. So I do suggest the rootstock. I know or getting cuttings, which is like having rootstock, from a friend who's got some runners that are going out. We'll talk about runners in a second. So rootstock. I'm not ready to, I haven't quite rebuilt the new bed yet, so I'm sticking these in I'm reusing some old pots and I'm sticking them in here for now, and so that they'll be nice and ready to go when I have that bed ready in probably 2 weeks time. I'll be putting them in. Now let me show you something very important though. When you are planting your strawberry rootstock, don't bury it too deep. A lot of people think they need to bury right up to, but you want to have that crown. You want to plant it mid-crown, okay, so that it still has the opportunity to send out the runners, which we'll talk about in a second, and also, but you're not going to be, but you don't want to have it exposed too much, because then it won't root well. Now this is another cool thing about rootstock, and I wanted to show you this. I know that a lot of people get frustrated because they have a really good first year with their strawberries, and then sometimes even a good second year, and in the third year they're like, they just didn't come back. Well, it's one of the reasons for this, it's because of the way the strawberry grows. It actually has the best rootstock that it has is its first year when it really develops, and then as the plant gets older, the roots sort of die off a bit and get more shallow. So you can imagine if it's going through its second winter or its third winter and there's less of this root down here and it's more just at the surface, it stands a better chance of not surviving that winter. Even under ideal conditions, I would suggest that you start replacing some of your older strawberry plants with some of their fresh runners that come off of them every 3 years max, okay? Because they do get less hardy the older they get, which is kind of counterintuitive. Most perennials don't work that way. Like asparagus, you're not supposed to cut until the third year. Strawberries, it's the reverse. You're going to get your first year is where you're going to have the strongest plants, okay? So that's something you want to keep a mind of, is sort of keep an eye just to cut off good runners as you see them and transplant them into the same bed. Get them in. They'll probably transplant themselves, but you might want to cut off some of those runners and move them also when they're in berry production, so that they have a chance to really focus on creating fruit. What do we do once we get into the bed to protect it? First of all, you want to choose a good location for your strawberry bed. You want to have it where it's got nice full sun, okay? But protect it from wind. I know that's kind of a weird thing, but that's why I put them on this side of the garden, because they get that barrier from the fence that's there, but they still are exposed enough that they're getting full sun. The other thing that you want to do is you don't want them to be low-lying, because they stand more chance of getting frost damaged. Okay, so I actually tier up my strawberry beds, and it's worked for me. I know a lot of people lose their strawberries over the winter because they think it freezes too much, but if you mulch properly, you should be okay. I've had my tiered beds work year after year after year. I just ensure that I do a good mulching job in the fall, and then I remove that mulch as soon as I start to see some new growth in the spring. What should you use to mulch your strawberries? I just love this. Somebody said this to me and I was like, oh, it was one of those moments. They're called strawberries. So there's your hint. The best thing you can use to mulch your strawberries is straw. I don't know why it took me a decade to figure that out, but it makes sense, right? And the other thing that you want to do is when you are mulching, you do during the growing season. It's a good idea to mulch during the growing season, but not right to the crown, like close to the crown, but not right to the crown, so that the berries aren't sitting on the soil, because sometimes they'll rot if you do that. And it just keeps them nice off the dirt. You can see them more. And I just find that the straw works really great. Then in the fall, once I get those nights where it's like -5 for more than, say, 4 or 5 days, we always have a -5 day at the beginning of September, right? Of course. But when you start seeing it be consistent, that's when you want to take that straw and cover up the bed, you know, a nice thick layer there, and that'll help it survive. Another thing, and I just got a hint because I heard some crows going here. Birds love strawberries, right? Like honestly, my chickens, I think they can smell strawberry plants as I'm bringing them into the garden. I cannot plant strawberries until the chickens are kicked out of the garden. Every animal loves strawberries. So this year, I usually pick pretty frequently, so it's good. That's another thing. Berries don't. As soon as that berry is ripe, take it off, okay? Because they don't improve. Once they're fully red, take it off. Don't take it off before that. It's not like things like tomatoes that will continue to ripen once you remove them. No, a berry, once you pick it, that's how that berry's gonna look. It's not gonna get any riper. It's not gonna improve in flavor. So you kind of gotta keep at it frequently, and it's best to pick in the morning. That's almost a golden rule with everything in the garden. Best to pick in the morning when it's nice and cool. They're going to be their best flavor and juiciest if you pick them first thing in the morning. This year, I'm going to try a little. I thought Angus and I could have some fun painting some red rocks, because I've heard this works. If it has worked for you, please let me know in the comments, because if it hasn't worked and it's just one of those fun little activities that we waste our time with, please do let me know if the red rocks work for keeping birds away. I understand that basically the concept is, and this is what we're going to try, as soon as my bed is prepared, I'm going to put red rocks in it, so the birds think that we'll try pecking on the red rocks. It'll help deter them from picking my strawberries when they're ready. Let me know if it works, okay? So, I guess just to end off, I have a little list here, because honestly, I can't remember. Oh, there's a lot. There's not as many varieties of berries that will grow here, but I just want, for those of you who are in Zone 3, I'm going to just give you 2 or 3 varieties that do grow Zone 3 strawberries. Make sure you know what it is, because a lot of that stuff that we get comes from BC, where you can grow anything, right? And then you go to plant it, and it's not coming back. All right, so I can't recommend Fort Laramie enough. I love it. It's been my go-to. It's my favorite, I would say my favorite Everbearing strawberry. And it tends to be pretty readily available. Another one that grows really well here, but I haven't grown myself, is Ogala. Okay? Now, Juneberry. If you want that big first flush, big berries, lots to go. Ones that are really popular here are Bounty, Cavendish, Cabot. Okay, there's others, but those are 3 that I know I've seen a lot around in the stores, and those might be ones that you choose. Day Neutrals. If I find some, I will let you guys know, and I'll also give you I haven't found any yet this year. It's kind of driving me, that are zone 3. I found day neutral ones in some of the stores, but they're not a variety that's going to survive zone 3. So I'm not buying them. But the ones that I'm going to particularly want to try are TriStar and Seascape. Okay? Oh, and I think there's one here called Albion as well that I've heard is great. Haven't seen it though. All right, so I hope that clears up some of the concepts, some of the ideas behind strawberries. If you have any questions about it, I know it's a long one, but there's lots about strawberries. Please let me know if you have any questions about this or any of the other things we're doing here at the Grow Together Homestead. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you take this chance to grow together today. Bye.